I moved to northern Maine a little over 4 years ago, right after a messy breakup and a job change that didn't feel like an upgrade so much as a reset. I work in logistics, mostly back-end coordination, so my job went fully remote during the pandemic and never really came back. At the time, that felt like freedom. I could live anywhere. I picked Maine because it was cheap, quiet, and far enough away from everyone I knew that no one would drop by unannounced. The house I rented sat just outside a town so small it barely registered on a map. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, old oil heating, and a long gravel driveway that cut through a line of trees before opening up to the road. The nearest neighbor was maybe half a mile away. I liked it that way. I wasn't lonely so much as uninterested in people. My days were predictable. Wake up, coffee, spreadsheets, emails, repeat. Nights were usually Netflix or a book, sometimes a beer, sometimes nothing at all. The first year was uneventful, so was most of the second. If something strange had happened right away, I probably would have left, but nothing did. That's part of why what eventually happened still bothers me. It didn't start as something dramatic. It started as small things that were easy to explain away. The first thing I noticed was the mailbox. One afternoon in late October, I got back from the grocery store and found my mailbox open. That wasn't unusual by itself. The latch was old and sometimes didn't catch. What was unusual was that all my mail was gone. Not just the new stuff, everything. The envelopes I hadn't bothered to bring inside yet, even the junk mail. I assumed the wind had blown it out somehow, even though that didn't really make sense. I shrugged it off and went inside. A week later, it happened again. This time, I knew there should have been at least one package. The delivery confirmation said it had been left in the mailbox. When I checked, the box was empty, door wide open. No torn cardboard, no signs of animals, just empty. I reported it, got a refund, and installed a cheap camera facing the driveway. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The camera didn't catch anything. No cars, no people, no movement at all during the delivery window. According to the footage, nothing had even come up the driveway that day. November rolled into December and the snow started coming down hard. The kind of snow that muffles sound and makes everything feel cut off from the rest of the world. That's when I started noticing footprints. They weren't leading up to the house. That would have been alarming. They were just there, in the yard. Random, partial sets of footprints that didn't seem to come from anywhere or go anywhere. No trail from the road, no trail back into the woods, just impressions in the snow, usually gone by the next day. I told myself they were old tracks exposed by drifting, or animals, or my own, misremembered. Snow does weird things, I know that. I grew up in the Midwest. But that explanation got harder to accept the morning I found a set of prints right outside my bedroom window. They were human, adult, booted, standing still. Whoever had made them wasn't walking past. They had been standing there, facing the house, facing me. I checked the camera footage immediately. Again, nothing. Hours of undisturbed snow. That night, I slept with the bedroom door locked for the first time since I'd moved in. A few days before Christmas, the power went out during a storm. That wasn't unusual either. I lit some candles, started the generator, and settled in. Around 9 p.m., I heard a knock at the front door. It wasn't loud, just 2 firm taps. I froze. No one ever came out that way in weather like that. I didn't answer. The knocking came again, slightly louder. I walked to the door and asked who it was without opening it. A man's voice answered, calm and flat. He said his car had broken down and asked if I could let him in to warm up. The story made sense, it always does, but something about the timing felt off. I checked the camera feed on my phone. The driveway was empty. No headlights, no tire tracks, just snow. I told him I'd call roadside assistance for him. There was a pause, then he said, "You don't need to do that, I just need to come in for a minute." I said no. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just said no and stepped back. After a few seconds, I heard footsteps crunching away from the porch. I waited a long time before checking. By the time I did, the porch was empty. No prints, nothing. I spent the rest of the winter on edge. I didn't tell anyone. It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud. Missing mail, footprints, a knock at the door, nothing concrete. Spring came, the snow melted, and for a while everything stopped. That's what almost convinced me it was over. In July, I started finding things inside the house out of place. Small things. A chair slightly turned. A cupboard door not fully closed. Once, I came home from a walk and found the bathroom light on when I was certain I'd turned it off. I started locking every door, every window, double-checking everything before I left. One evening, I got home late and noticed the attic pull cord hanging lower than usual. I hadn't been up there in months. I stood under it for a long time before pulling it. The attic was empty, dusty, undisturbed. No footprints, no signs of anyone being there. But when I went back down, I realized something that made my stomach drop. The front door was unlocked. I moved out 2 weeks later, broke the lease, ate the cost, didn't argue. The landlord didn't ask many questions. He just nodded a lot and said people weren't meant to live out there alone. I live in an apartment now. Neighbors on every side, noise through the walls. It's not peaceful, but it's safe. Sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm convinced I can hear footsteps outside my bedroom window. Then I remember I'm on the 3rd floor. And that's when I realize I'm still checking the locks.